What is poppin', Saints? It is your boy, the S-A-I-N-T. That be me, bringing y'all another video. You already know what time it is. Let's get to it. But this one, it's also more on the news category. This one was a case of Mackenzie Storelli, I believe. And so we're kind of gonna see a little bit what happened to her. Apparently this person is a teenager, young. And it's like, man, what are you doing so young to be out here killing people for? What's up with y'all people, man? Come on. But now let's see a little bit what's going on though. Let's get into it.
Mackenzie Storelli appeared to be a typical teenage girl, doing many of the things that teenage girls do.
What you mean the typical thing? Nah. Why is that a typical thing to be showing your body that you don't even have when you a child? Like, that don't make no sense.
By all accounts, she and her boyfriend seemed to have it all. But did they? And if they didn't, what would this seemingly sweet teenage girl do to make sure that they did? Welcome back to Crime A to Z, where we detail cases and criminals from their very beginning till well after other reporting ends.
Wow.
Today, we'll be talking about the case of Mackenzie Storelli. It's one of the most ruthless, senseless, and just plain heartbreaking cases you'll come across. It's about young people with hearts of gold, and one with no heart at all.
Wow.
It's a case so gut-wrenching that even the officers on the scene could barely hold it together. So sit tight as we dive into this case of entitlement, selfishness, and statness. And as always, if you end up liking how we present this case, it would be great if you can help us out by giving us a quick like, subscribe, and share, please. Let's go. Mackenzie Storelli was born on August 2nd, 2004 to Natalie Storelli and John Stephen. She grew up in Strongsville, Ohio, where she and her sibling enjoyed a comfortable upbringing. During her teenage years, Mackenzie, like many young ladies her age, was an avid social media user, frequently posting videos with her friends on TikTok.
Where the parents at? What? Why do y'all let y'all kids do this, man?
TikTok. Although Mackenzie appeared to be a sweet child in her younger years, those around her noted that a shift occurred once she became a teenager. Some described her as selfish, vindictive, and cruel. With the attractive youngster having typically gotten whatever it was that she wanted in life, her sense of entitlement was well known. It pushed many of her peers away from her. As Mackenzie grew older, her parents still knew her to be the well-behaved daughter they had always raised, unaware of her developing issues. She began using drugs and engaging in disrespectful behavior, including vandalizing a church while she was under the influence.
Evil was already in her soul at that point. Like, it was already clear what was going on.
Behavior, including vandalizing a church while she was under the influence. And her actions only intensified once she began high school at Strongsville High. It was there that she would meet Dominic Russo. Throughout his childhood, Dominic was well known for his great sense of humor and ability to lift the spirits of those around him. His siblings said that he was the one who always made them smile, always wearing the biggest grin himself.
Decent dude.
With his strong passion to grow and make the most of each day, Dominic was already an accomplished businessman, athlete, song producer, and entrepreneur by the time he was just 20 years old. But with his desire to make a broader impact on his community and to give back to people beyond his hometown, he planned to join the military. Dominic and Mackenzie were attracted to each other and began dating in 2021. They originally kept their relationship quiet, but shortly after they started dating, they made the relationship public via social media. Mackenzie would frequently post photos of them looking happy and in love. They appeared to be soulmates, spending as much time together as possible. Their families met and grew close as—
Man, like, how does none of that good quality that he had rub off on her? Like, none of that at all? And how did he even encounter— It's like he encountered the opposite person that he needed to be around.
Grew close as well, and it appeared that nothing could come between them. They eagerly anticipated graduating high school so they could start their lives together. But the bliss didn't last long. Dominic began to notice a side of Mackenzie that he was not fond of. She started to expect Dominic to agree with everything that she said, and he started to get frustrated with how controlling she was. Amidst it all, though, they continued to project the image of a perfect couple on social media. At some point, Dominic decided to break off the relationship and approached Mackenzie with the news. Mackenzie disagreed and was unwilling to give up on them. But Dominic, desperate to be freed, insisted. Mackenzie was upset, but also determined to rekindle their relationship. But her way of going about it was problematic. She began showing up at Dominic's house, threatening to harm him and damage his property if he didn't let her in. On one of the occasions, he recorded her outside of his home making the threats.
Let me key my car. Tell me to break the door. Key your car and do not let me in the house. You're going to key my car. If you don't let me in the house, yes.
Dominic tried his
crazy. Ooh. Oh, man. Dang, Dominic, man. Sorry, man. Sorry.
Tried his best to defuse the situations, trying to reason with Mackenzie and calm her down at every turn. As he continued to reject her, Mackenzie's frustration and desperation grew stronger. She alternated between begging him to take her back and threatening him if he didn't.
Dom, if you do not open, you think I'm joking. You think I'm joking. Like, I'm dead ass.
What do you mean?
You know it. That's exactly what I mean. You don't even know exactly what I mean. You're gonna come open this door right now, or there's gonna be a serious problem.
But the more she showed her true side, the more convinced Dominic became that ending their relationship was the right decision.
Yeah.
Despite bitter disputes, like they had done in the past, the couple would eventually reconcile. They got back together.
You were doing so good, Dom. Oh, you were doing so good, man. And I've been in that situation before, bro. It's just, I hate to see it, man. Especially from the outside looking in, I hate to see this.
They got back together and Mackenzie seemed like a changed person, softening her aggression and seemingly genuinely sweet. She made plans for her and Dominic to attend a party that a friend of theirs was having. Dominic was looking forward to the evening. Mackenzie had planned every detail. She and Dominic attended the party where their friends were pleased to see the perfect couple happily back together again. The pair danced, drank, and enjoyed themselves. To Dominic, it felt like an ideal night, and Mackenzie felt that way as well, but for an entirely different reason.
What you mean?
At the party, they connected with one of Dominic's best friends, Davian Flanagan. Mackenzie also knew Davian. He was 19, and despite a challenging childhood in foster care before being adopted in 2010, he was extremely kind-hearted and positive. He had recently graduated from Strongsville High School, where he was on the football team. He planned to attend barber school, then open a barber shop in their small town.
Right.
Davian joined Mackenzie and Dominic partying. Then the three of them stayed at their friend's house until the early hours of the next day. At 5 a.m., Mackenzie woke up Dominic to head home. As she was waking Dominic, Davian also woke up and asked for a ride home. So, on that morning, one day before Mackenzie's 18th birthday, Mackenzie, 20-year-old Dominic, and 19-year-old Davian left the party around 5 a.m. in Mackenzie's 2018 Toyota Camry. Mackenzie was behind the wheel, with Dominic in the passenger seat and Davian in the back. Initially, Mackenzie, the only one wearing a seatbelt, drove slowly, maintaining perfect control. But as she turned onto Progress Drive from Pearl Road, she pressed the accelerator and didn't let go. The street was just 3/4 of a mile long, or 1.2 kilometers, but within that distance, she reached a speed of 100 miles per hour. The road was relatively straight, perfectly suited for gaining unbridled speed. She sped through the industrial complex, headed directly toward the end of the road, where just beyond it stood a brick building. At the very last moment, she veered directly toward it, then crashed into it head-on at 100 miles per hour.
You selfish mother! Oh! Ooh! Oh my God, yo! What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, really, what the fuck is your deal?
At 100 miles per hour. But it was a very early Sunday morning in an area exclusively occupied by industrial business buildings, so there was not a soul around. It was a full 45 minutes before a passerby spotted the wreckage and called police. Within minutes, Strongsville police arrived at the crash site. Officers arrived at the scene of the devastating crash. The car barely resembled a car at all anymore. As the first officer hurriedly approaches, he reports that the car is split in half.
This car is split in two.
The severity of the crash is obvious, and he calls for additional units, noting that there is at least one person inside the vehicle.
Radio, there's an occupant inside. Send us a squad now. This is not a fresh accident either. She's been here for a while.
The officer notices another occupant.
Radio, we got at least 2 occupants in here. No one's moving. Oh my God.
The officer finds the third occupant.
Oh my God. ×3, guys. Radio, 3 occupants. No one's conscious. No one's breathing.
But then they quickly notice that the driver of the vehicle is breathing. They cannot extract Mackenzie. Her head is wedged in and she's severely pinned in the vehicle, her fuzzy Prada slippers still pressed against the accelerator. They won't be able to extract her until fire and rescue arrives. In the meantime, despite their experience, the officers are clearly impacted by the scale of the accident and the loss of life.
Oh my God. Oh my God, in heaven.
48-year-old.
I know. Jesus Christ. This is the worst I've ever seen. Rest in peace, buddy.
Mackenzie has survived. Dominic and Davian.
My condolences to the family for both those gentlemen. Wow. And Davian wasn't even involved. Like, he wasn't, he just happened to just catch a ride.
Dominic and Davian did not. There were car parts everywhere. The car had struck the building with such force that it looked like it had exploded. Fire and rescue arrive. Mackenzie is extracted and life-flighted to the hospital, where she will undergo multiple surgeries to save her life. She tested positive for THC, consistent with her having smoked marijuana. And she was also in possession of a bag of magic mushrooms and a digital scale. Initially, the police believed that Mackenzie had crashed because she was high. But as the investigation began to unfold, authorities began to suspect that what Mackenzie had done was far more deliberate.
How to get paid to get smarter. Join eToro's Learn and Earn Challenge and earn cash. It's easy. Go to eToro.com.
When Mackenzie woke up in the hospital and realized she had survived, she tearfully told her doctors that it was her fault for killing her boyfriend. While the doctors thought these were just the rantings of a remorseful driver, the police took her statement seriously. After undergoing multiple surgeries, Mackenzie was released from the hospital and returned home with her parents. As the Shirillas prepared to welcome their daughter home, the Russos and Flanagans were planning funerals for their sons. Meanwhile, the prosecutor's office was conducting a thorough investigation, and it was not looking good for Mackenzie. For starters, police interviewed several of Mackenzie and Dominic's friends, from which a consistent theme emerged. They learned that she had frequently threatened him during their on-again, off-again relationship. Threats like keying his car and forcing her way into his home like mentioned previously, but also threatening to kill him by crashing her car with him inside of it. The most recent such threat occurring just 2 weeks before the crash, when she told him, "Dominic, I will crash this car right now." Around that same time period, Dominic had even called his mother asking her to come pick him up because he was riding with Mackenzie and she was driving recklessly. Also, authorities and the public felt like Mackenzie was not acting like a grieving girlfriend responsible for 2 people's deaths. The photograph that she posted on Dominic's obituary seemed, as one news publication called it, twisted. Many also found it inappropriate and tasteless for her to attend a Halloween party so soon after the deaths that she was responsible for, especially dressed as both marijuana and a corpse.
Whoa. Oh, this girl got no soul. Oh, this girl has no soul.
And then post the fully decked out costume photos on her social media account. And those weren't her only posts. Within weeks of the crash, she had returned to posting TikToks.
I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die.
In one of her posts, she shockingly claimed that she was the one you die for.
Gotta figure like a pin, gotta figure like a doll. Don't care if you think I'm dumb, I don't care at all. Can't best, sweetie, if I wanna be adored. I'm the girl you die for.
And she drew the same sentiment for a concert she attended. Shortly after she was released from the hospital, she was seen attending a concert, still in a wheelchair from her injuries. There were also posts that Mackenzie and her mother made on social media, replying to and soliciting a modeling job. Community members felt it was so inappropriate after the deaths that they emailed the exchanges they had made with the Los Angeles modeling agency to the police department. And police also gathered and analyzed the physical evidence. A thorough analysis was done on the vehicle, and it was found to not have any defects or malfunctions that would have contributed to the crash.
Right.
Additionally, the Toyota's event data recorder, also known as its black box, revealed that the moment Mackenzie turned onto Progress Road, she began pressing the accelerator pedal to the floor the entire stretch of the road.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. What was the car again?
Progress Road, also known as its black box crash. Additionally, the Toyota's event data recorder.
Shout out to the Toyotas. Shout out to the Toyotas. Thank God, man, because I was really thinking to myself, like, how would this person get away with this? Like how could they catch her doing this? Because this is cynical. This is really cynical. But it's not like it was like direct. It's a crazy world out here, people. Be careful out there.
Also known as its black box, revealed that the moment Mackenzie turned onto Progress Road, she began pressing the accelerator pedal to the floor the entire stretch of the road, her foot still in that position when they found her.
Well, yeah.
She never attempted to press the brake pedal.
Yeah.
She barreled down the short road until it teed at the end, slightly veering into the grass as she aimed for the building. The black box, along with surveillance video, showed that the steering wheel jerked 142 degrees to the right and then left just before the car left the road and crashed into the building. And speaking of that surveillance video, that is where investigators truly began to question the teenager's actions.
Of course.
The bad behavior before the crash and the questionable actions afterward were not necessarily definitive. But the surveillance footage, together with the black box data, began to leave little doubt. Multiple businesses in the area captured the teenager's ill-fated path that early morning. But two of those videos in particular gave authorities a clear picture of the car, both en route and right up through the point of impact. The first one showed Mackenzie when she was calmly and responsibly rounding the final corner, including traveling at a reasonable speed, reducing her speed to make the turn, and even signaling to turn. Her actions in that video, authorities determined, were not consistent with someone erratically driving under the influence. The second video shows how once she is on the final road, she accelerates at full speed, before finally veering at the last moment into the brick building. Her controlled actions just prior to turning onto the street indicated that Mackenzie was in complete control of the vehicle. So authorities concluded that her actions once she turned the corner were entirely deliberate. Taking a look at her route via Google Maps puts into perspective exactly how devastating her 100-mile-per-hour plunge into the building actually was, as she traveled down Progress Avenue, headed straight toward the building that lied at the end, veering slightly onto the grass as she was about to traverse the rocks and sign, heading straight for the corner of the building. The devastation was not surprising. And such a meticulous, destructive path was no accident either. After analyzing Mackenzie's phone and GPS data, authorities found that she had spent a significant amount of time on that completely out-of-the-way Progress Road just a few days before the crash. They surmised that she had spent the time scouting the area as she plotted the crash, given no other explanation for her to be in that industrial area. But Mackenzie wasn't taking any responsibility. In fact, she felt like what she had done didn't at all warrant the potential punishment she may be facing. In the immediate aftermath of the accident, she asked police if they could just take my license away for 10 years or something like that. But her acts would have far greater consequences despite her perspective. Between her scouting of the area prior to the crash, the threats she had made during her and Dominic's tumultuous relationship, the speed and path she took on the deadly ride, along with her foot still being on the gas pedal. Authorities were confident that Mackenzie intentionally and callously took the lives of Dominic and Davian.
Wow.
On November 4th, 2022,
evil, yo.
authorities arrested Mackenzie Shirilla.
Thank God.
She is charged with over 12 counts, including 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide,
Fair,
1 count of drug possession, and 1 count of possessing criminal tools.
And 1 count for being a crazy.
She was 17 at the time of the incident. She was taken to a juvenile detention facility. During pretrial hearings, the prosecution offered Mackenzie a plea deal. She turned it down, and her attorney indicated they were prepared to take it to trial.
That's correct, Your Honor. I went on Monday and discussed this at great length with Mackenzie. The week before that, with her parents present, talked with her today, and it's her desire that she does not want to plead to 2 counts of murder.
And Mackenzie, are you satisfied with your lawyer so far? You can say so. Yes, Your Honor.
For that trial, Mackenzie chose to waive her right to a jury trial, opting instead for a bench trial, taking her chances on what a judge may decide versus 12 jurors. Given the circumstances surrounding Mackenzie's crime, the prosecution planned to try her as an adult. For the trial, prosecutors outlined Mackenzie's aggressive behavior and threats toward Dominic to show how she reacted when she didn't get her way or when Dominic wouldn't do what she wanted. They outlined the time when she repeatedly warned Dominic to let her into his home or face the consequences.
Dom, if you do not open, you think I'm joking. You think I'm joking. Like, I'm dead ass. You know it. That's exactly what I mean. You don't even know exactly what I mean. You're gonna come open this door right now, or there's gonna be a serious problem.
She threatened to break the handle off the door if he didn't let her in, and she began hitting the door and counting down the seconds before there was about to be said problem. Their evidence also showed that Mackenzie was fully aware that she could cause serious harm to her victims by way of her vehicle, given the repeated threats she made about crashing her car with Dominic in it. They argued that in the months following the crash, instead of being remorseful or mourning the deaths of Dominic and Davian, she was living a carefree and frivolous life, presenting the TikToks she made, her concert attendance, and her pursuit of modeling jobs.
And that's the most monstrous thing right there. Just shrug that off like you didn't just kill somebody, and that somebody was your boyfriend.
Pursuit of modeling jobs. They presented the physical evidence and crash expert testimony that revealed how the crash was neither an accident nor the result of any malfunction of the vehicle.
Wow.
Instead, Mackenzie had deliberately and meticulously planned and carried out the death of Dominic, and his best friend, who simply requested a ride home, became meaningless collateral damage to her. In contrast, Mackenzie's defense team argued that the crash was a tragic accident that Mackenzie had no memory of. They argued that it was impossible to know who actually pulled the...
I mean, look at her crying now. Look at her sniggling and crying. You weren't doing all that when you killed somebody. You went 2 people on top of that. Now you sniggling. You weren't doing that when you went to those Halloween parties. You weren't doing that when you went to a concert. But you're doing it now. Okay, cool.
To know who actually pulled the wheel to turn it at 142 degrees just 1 second before impact, causing the crash. He asked the crash analyst who testified whether Mackenzie could have been swerving to dodge an unexpected obstacle, whether a passenger could have grabbed the wheel to control the steering, or perhaps she was desperately trying to regain control of the vehicle. He did acknowledge that Mackenzie was indeed driving recklessly. But the evidence to the contrary, particularly the surveillance video evidence, was overwhelming. The judge noted,
The video clearly shows the purpose and intent of the defendant. She chose a course of death and destruction that day. She morphed from a responsible driver to literal hell on wheels. Her actions were controlled, methodical, deliberate, intentional, and purposeful. This was not reckless driving. This was murder.
Prosecutors noted that the video was also why they chose to try Shirilla as an adult, stating, "When you drive for 4 or 5 seconds with the pedal all the way down until you hit 100 miles per hour into a building, we felt the charge was appropriate."
Yes.
The judge found Mackenzie Shirilla guilty on all 12 charges.
Especially when that long strip of road, they could have been stopped. Like regardless of how fast that vehicle was going, you could have been stopped that at some point. What your guilty is?
Guilty on all 12 charges. At the sentencing hearing, the prosecution reminded the court about Mackenzie's lack of remorse, represented by her actions in the weeks and months after the crash. The judge also allowed statements from the families of those involved. Davion's mother was the first to address the court.
Yes. Your Honor, my name is Jamie Flanagan. I am the mother of the victim, Davion Flanagan. I want to share a small part of what we lost on 7/31/2022. My son, Davion, is and always will be so much more than cargo. He was precious. He was an amazing soul with a heart of gold. He gave to the world what he wanted most in his own life: love. The kind of love that would rescue a friend in the middle of the night, no questions asked. The kind that would protect others and honor them. He made friends easily with his infectious smile. He was a gifted athlete. He had plans to go to barber school and open his own shop. My son did not have a clique of friends, but instead was a friend to all. He would go out of his way to show love and kindness to others, including those that were often cast aside by society, the less fortunate, the developmentally challenged, the hurting, and the unvalued. Davion made sure that everyone that crossed his path knew that he truly saw them, that he valued them, and that they were worth his time. Davion and my kids have had more than their fair share of heartbreak, of hardship, and of loss. Davion was adopted with his sisters from foster care. They are biological siblings. We are honored to be chosen, or to have been chosen, to be their parents. They're forever family. I am devastated by the loss of Davion. The world lost a truly special man.
The court also heard from Dominic's mother.
I'm Christine Russo. I'm Dominic's mother.
I know I can't even fathom the pain of a parent losing their child like that, especially when that child got killed by their said girlfriend. So that person must have been in her home, talked to her, knew her on a personal level, knew her parents, all that. And here she is in the middle of mourning her child. And she is seeing this girl who took that child from her. You have to be careful out there, people. You really do. A lot of what you think people won't do, a lot of people will.
In Russo, I'm Dominic's mother. No one wanted this to be a murder or to punish Mackenzie Shirilla for this accident. But this was not a car accident. The evidence and science proved that Mackenzie Shirilla murdered my son, Dominic, as well as Davion. There's no fix put in this case, as the Shirillas would like to proclaim. I want to thank Strongsville Police Department and the state of Ohio for seeking the truth behind this crash. Thanks to them, we all know what happened in that car that day. What we don't know is why. I wish I could change this every day. I lost 3 children in that crash. Not a minute goes by each day that I don't think about my son, as well as Davion. My heart is forever broken. The cries heard from the Shirilla family and friends after the verdict are nothing more than a lack of remorse. Mackenzie Shirilla had a choice. Dom and Davion did not. We are all left here to mourn. But what Dominic and Davion lost can never be remedied in any way or by any particular sentence. On July 31st, 2022, I called Mackenzie's mother, hysterical with the loss of my son and Davion. I knew Mackenzie was in the hospital, and the first statement said to me was, "Oh, please don't listen to what everyone's saying on Facebook."
sorry, what? That's what you want to tell her. That's someone who just lost a child. Don't believe what they say on Facebook is your first concern. Oh yeah, nah. Y'all are soulless.
On Facebook. Yeah. My son is dead. His friend is dead. And I'm checking on yours. Yet social media is what's important. Social media has made a game out of the life of Mackenzie and is making a game out of this heart-wrenching tragedy. No one can imagine the pain of losing a child unless they have lost one themselves. The pain is forevermore. Time does not heal this wound. Mackenzie, going to prison because you did this. Be thankful that you're still alive and have a future, whatever that may be. Dom and Davion were robbed of their futures, their hopes, and their dreams. Mackenzie showed no mercy on Dominic, nor did she on Davion. Only God at this time can have mercy on her soul. Thank you.
As an owner of Walton Goggins goggle glasses, I know how to make slick-looking goggle/glasses. But I have no idea how to make slick social media stuff.
Mackenzie's mother also addressed the court.
My name is Natalie Sharilla. I just want to say, am I allowed to address them at all? Sure. I just want to say to the families that I'm broken, sad, and lost, and my heart hurts for everyone, okay? Davion was her new friend, and Dom was the love of her life, and he was part of our family, okay? I'm just so sorry that this happened, and we're heartbroken.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't even have the gall to even say that. Maybe I'm wrong for that, but I wouldn't even have the heart to say that to them. Especially if that's my child. I'm sorry, but my child at the end of the day did do that. They literally took the life of someone else. And I'm supposed to say that in front of them? No. God, no. Heck no.
Part of our family, okay? I'm just so sorry that this happened, and we're heartbroken, okay? And then, Your Honor, this was a terrible, tragic nightmare accident to have happened that she has no memory of, and she will never emotionally or physically recover from it. She almost died too, and we're asking that you please not run the sentence as consecutive. He was family, and we all loved each other. That morning of the accident, she called, I got a phone call that there was a car accident, okay? So we went to the hospital, and I didn't even know who was in the car. The names had not been confirmed yet. And I'm gonna cry because I missed Dom so much. We loved him so much. So I called Dom, like over and over again, praying that he was gonna answer the phone, and he didn't answer the phone. So then I tried to call his mom, and she didn't answer the phone either. And I still didn't know who was in the car. I didn't even know if she was alive. I didn't know what was happening. So then we were in the waiting room, and then his mom she did call me, so I answered.
Hey, I will say that I could be fair to the mother, because I mean, she for the most part was just being a mother to a daughter who had a boyfriend. You know, she's not the one that committed that act, but she is responsible for how she turned out, though. I will say that. Saying to the family that was her love of her life and that was her friend. Friends and loves of your life don't do that shit to you.
She did call me, so I answered the phone, and I was like, oh my God, like, I don't even know who was in the car, like, what's happening? Was that Dom? And she said, what do you mean? My son is dead. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And then she said something like, and now I have to wait until your kid's out of the hospital. And then I didn't hear the rest. I was like, we loved him so much, and I hung up the phone. I did not talk about social media. I didn't even know what was going on yet, okay? So then, that was it. So in the hospital, that Vitality post, I commented on that because somebody had called her a murderer, okay? And she's not a murderer, so she didn't even have her phone at that point because the police had still had it, okay? So I jumped on, and I was like, you know, she's not a murderer. She's more sad than most of these people commenting. She's been trying to get in touch with you. mean, at that point, it was just an accident. So I commented on her behalf, not because of the modeling opportunity. Who cares about that? I don't want them to refer to her as a murderer, okay? And I don't even know how that comment had got on the phone because the police still had her device and she could not access her phone or social media. That's why I did it. And I had called them asking if they could shut down social media because people were calling her a murderer and making death threats and organizing groups to, take her out when she got out of the hospital and stuff. So I didn't even want her phone. I don't care about her phone. I don't care about social media. I just wanted them to stop calling her a murderer so that when she did come to, and she did come out of surgery, multiple surgeries, that she wouldn't see all these people calling her a murderer because she would never, ever murder the love of her life. Okay? For Halloween, for 3 months after the accident, she would only wear his clothes.
Listen, I get that that's your mom, that's her mom, so she's naturally gonna want to protect her child, but wrong is wrong. All right, wrong is wrong.
She would only eat the snacks he ate. She would only listen to the music he wrote, okay? So she was crying for 3 months. So her friends asked if she wanted to go out trick-or-treating or Halloween, and it was at OU. And she didn't even want to go. She said, I don't know, should I go? She couldn't even walk yet, barely. So I told her, I said, baby, please go. It's Halloween. You've been laying for 3 months crying, only listening to his music. Please go have just a moment of fun. A moment of fun. So we told her to go. My husband drove her. I brought her back home. She just needed a second of fun from losing her whole world. Her whole world. So that was us. We told her to go. And that concert she went to with Dom's cousin, Abby, they picked her up. They brought her there. That was Dom, Mackenzie and Dom and Abby all decided to go to this concert together while they were in the hospital. She's like devastated and tragic. He was the air that she breathes. Okay, and they went with his cousin. We spent all kinds of time with him after the accident. What was the other thing?
I'm hearing.
Hey, I will say, you know what? Okay. Maybe she didn't warn him. Maybe we can even go as far as to say love. But I'm not going to say that only because people can still do very messed up things. And they can show up and down that they love you. They can say up and down that they do, but still stab you in the back, still call you and disrespect you out of your name, still put hands on you. But they will swear to God that they love you.
I'm hearing an awful lot about your daughter. I'm not hearing very much about her two.
Dominic, okay, I'm asking you for a leniency because this was a tragic accident that she does not remember. And Davion, he's a new friend. And I'm so sorry.
Does that mean his life is worthless?
No. God, no, not at all. They all loved each other. They all spent every day together. I understand what it looks like. I'm saying that it was a tragic accident. She would never.
Well, we're going to have to disagree.
I understand.
Right. And I respect your position.
I understand. But anyway, that's it. I just wanted to address those. We told her to go to those things, and then she did go with Dom's family. So look at that. Don't look at it with the look on that with different eyes if you can, please.
Those things are not relevant.
Not at all. But she's a good. If you would have a moment, all you would need is 5 minutes of a conversation to have with her to learn who she is. Just that you would just need 5 minutes to learn who she is and what she's capable of not doing and doing, and you would see for yourself. That's all. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I love you.
And lastly, Mackenzie chose to speak as well.
Mackenzie, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. It's up to you.
I would love to.
Okay.
You're going to stay in the
You can sit if it's more comfortable.
Okay.
It's better for you.
The families of Dom and Davion, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away, and I'm so sorry. And to my family, thank you for the support and all the love you guys give. Thank you for fighting with me. I love you all so much. I'm done. Thank you.
With her guilty verdicts, Mackenzie was facing an automatic sentence of life imprisonment with no opportunity for parole for 15 years for each of her 2 murder convictions. The most challenging aspect of the sentencing for the judge was deciding whether the sentences should be served consecutively or concurrently. She noted that while the families desired the harshest sentence possible, she had to balance the need for justice with the circumstances of the case. She sentenced Mackenzie Sharilla to 2 concurrent terms of 15 years to life for the murders of Dominic Russo and Davian Flanagan. Serving them concurrently would make her eligible for parole in 15 years. Some advocates for Sharilla debate her guilt online, with her proponents making such arguments as Mackenzie having been coerced into a bench trial, and that her post-crash TikToking and partygoing, while perhaps in poor taste or standard fare for teenagers and were not indicative of guilt. Some also believe that Sharilla's acceleration could have either been her accidentally pressing the accelerator instead of the brake, or perhaps there was a malfunction where her pressing the brake did not register. Overall, her advocates feel that there was no evidence proving Mackenzie intentionally drove the car into a wall at 100 miles per hour, and that all the evidence against her was simply to attack her character. But most people are in the same Sharilla is guilty camp as the prosecutor, who, after the trial, commented,
"The intent was obvious upon seeing that video that there was only one goal, and the computer demonstrated that there was no attempt to slow down or stop, that it was full speed into a building. And
there's literally no
tragically, it cost 2 people their lives."
While they were relieved that Mackenzie was found guilty, most of Dominic and Davian's family members expressed disappointment with the verdict, hoping instead for consecutive sentences. They felt that Mackenzie had taken the lives of 2 innocent young men and deserved to serve the rest of hers in prison. However, Dominic's father, Frank Russo, was more forgiving. He reflected that while his family was devastated, he hoped Sharilla could eventually be freed. He stated, "It's horrible for everybody. Yeah, I lost my son. It's harder on our family, but I don't want the rest of her life ruined too. It isn't going to make me feel any better." Mackenzie is currently serving her sentence in the Ohio Reformatory for Women. With her following of people who believe in her innocence, she receives letters from them in prison. She will be eligible for parole on October 21st, 2037. What are your thoughts about this case? Reckless driving or a meticulously planned murder? Please weigh in the comments below.
Yeah, this is take off the glasses time. That was heavy. That was wow. Man, once again, condolences to both of those families. Yeah, there's just so many moving pieces, but I would just say the biggest takeaway here is when crazy shows, let it go. Just straight up, okay? Your life and your sex life doesn't get any better. It just gets difficult. But let me know what y'all think, and appreciate y'all for tuning in if you got this far. And it's been your boy Saint. I'm gonna talk to y'all another time. In the meantime, peace.